Now I'd like to invite Mr. Nakaso Hiroshi, the chairman of FinCity.Tokyo, to talk about driving forces of sustainable finance, Tokyo's contribution as an international financial center. Mr. Nakaso, go ahead. The floor is yours. I am the chairman of FinCity.Tokyo. I'm Nakaso. Thank you very much for coming to this forum today. And I'd like to introduce our center and reflect on what we have been doing. I'd like to explain using the slides. So we have been established in 2019 as a financial promotion agency, and we have been engaged in various activities to conduct policy advocacy and financial promotion in Japan and global. In Japan, we are trying to cluster asset management companies in Japan so that the assets accumulated in Japan would be realized through the investment channel, which would realize further growth of Japan as an asset management nation. And that came to be formulated into that policy under the Kishida administration to announce the policy on the asset management nation. And we would like to invite more new players in this area. So the Emerging Managers Program, Japanese version of EMP, was specifically included in this concept and the policy. So considering the early days of FinCity.Tokyo, where we had a lot of trials and errors, I am very sentimental that we have come so far already. But during that time, the financial business environment surrounding Japan has changed with the rising geopolitical risks and the Trump tariff being implemented, and the global multifaceted trade relations have been disrupted. Inflation is still issue, and also the climate issue is becoming a Japanese and also the global issue, obviously. So today, while there have been such changes, I'd like to talk about what Tokyo is trying to do as a financial center of Asia, especially from the viewpoint of sustainable finance or the transition finance. So first, regarding the Trump 2.0. So with that, the dollar-centered international monetary regime has been going through a crisis or change. So I'd like to touch on that. Please note the left-hand side chart. Here's the foreign currency reserve and the mix. So the blue line, US dollars, is continually the biggest one, but ever since 2011, 2017, it's been going down. And recently, this yellow, the gold weight has been rising rapidly, and now it's on par with euro. Furthermore, with the U.S. tariff, with the liberation, right after the Liberation Day in April, the U.S. equity, bond, and U.S. dollars all went into the triple cheapening, and the trust toward U.S. dollar has become wavered. As shown on the right-hand side chart, during April, in Japan, the equity and bond altogether, there's been 8.2 trillion yen outflow into outside of the country. And that has diminished recently, but there seems to be continued outflow trend. So the US dollar's key currency position will not become suddenly weak, but the investment to be shifted from US dollars over to different currencies or gold is likely to prevail continually. So under such changes, in addition to such international business environment changes, there is something that I think there are three reasons I believe that there will be further growth in Japan. One is the BOJ has enacted a normalization of the monetary policy, so we are now entering the world with the interest rates, and that's leading to the Japanese denominated asset appeal to become higher. And secondly, there is more shift from saving over to investment, and the management considering the capital efficiency is becoming higher, and also JPX is making the standard for the company to be listed to become much more strict, and the uncertainty there may check the MBOs or NBOs. So that's leading to the changes to the investors' expectations too. So under such changes in the monetary policy and environment, whether Tokyo can play a vital role in the financial world is now in question, but especially in the sustainable finance, and namely the transition finance is the place where Tokyo can play a big role. And there are other challenges, and as it's been said earlier, decarbonization cannot be achieved in one leap. Going from brown to green, there will be energy saving or cleaner energy transition should also be included in order to become one amber phase before reaching the full decarbonization in green. So the transition part is going to be financed through the transition finance. And the decarbonization transitionary phase throughout the coming decade, 150 trillion yen of investment is seemingly required according to the government calculation. And for that, the Japanese government have decided on the 20 trillion yen GX bond, but how to incorporate the private sector money is going to be a key. So for that, Japan has the accumulated financial assets and the infrastructure to circulate it. And also another big thing is that there are multiple, various different number of user companies. So these are attracting the foreign investors into Japan. Tokyo to become the core center for transition finance, and that potential for that is backed by such relative advantage, as I just mentioned. And as for the climate countermeasure, I believe this is very important. It's going to be the core growth strategy for Japan. So this slide indicates Japan's potential growth rate ever since the burst of bubble economy. The black line is indicating the potential growth rate, and the blue is showing the total factor productivity. As you see, until the 80s, more than 4% potential growth rate of Japan has gone down after the burst of the bubble economy, that is. So and also the green is indicating the declining the working population, and also pink is indicating the lack of the capital stock, and the blue is TFP, total factory productivity. So there has been sluggishness in the innovation too. That's why the black line has been declining. Recently, we have been seeing some improvement, so it's now in around 0.5 percentage point. But I believe there is greater potential for the Japanese economy. So for the sustainable growth of Japanese economy, we need to push this up higher. So So for that, realizing carbon neutrality by 2050, according to the Japanese government target and goal, we need to have hydrogen, ammonia, the utilization of more new energy, or the CCUS, capture, storing, and of carbon dioxide, and some other R&D, research and development of such innovative technologies and implementation would be required, and a great level of capital expenditure would also be required. But as you see, the decarbonization would require technical innovation and capital investment. So we lacked such capabilities before, but this decarbonization requires those two capabilities. And in fact, this is going to be a great opportunity for us to grow, and financing that would be the sustainable finance rules from the financial sector side, financial perspective side. And in the panel discussion 2 sessions ago, we heard about the Japanese companies' initiatives with the moderation of Ms. Sakaguchi. And my impression was that the global common principle shall be shared, but that's not enough. We should do further. We need to think about raising the corporate value, whether there is a potential for growth or not, would be a very important factor to attract the foreign investors. And the growth strategy, when I think of the past, it requires bold financial easing and fiscal policy. And the third era of the Abenomics, but honestly speaking, we have not achieved good enough results yet. The politics of Japan, who is going to be the new prime minister, who is going to be meeting President Trump as the new prime minister, it's still not decided yet. We are having a lot of uncertainties here. But in the new administration, regardless of who will take the ruling party and the administration, we hope they would adapt to the climate conditions and draw a new growth strategy and trajectory. I hope that will be completed with a great determination. The transition finance is having an international scope. In Asia, we have a lot of Asian supply chain, and it's hard to abate, which means cannot be immediately transitioning to green practices. We have such many industries which are hard to abate. And as shown here, relating to transition finance, there is a basic policy and the roadmap per each industrial sectors. This is the phased approach of Japan toward decarbonization. And this is also going to fit the Asian countries and companies as well, I think. The solutions from Japan can be also utilized for the decarbonization efforts in Asian countries as well. And with that, Japan can become the financial center of Asia and contribute to the decarbonization of the Asian region and also the further growth of the economies. So, as regards to the collaboration with Asian countries, Asia's GX Consortium and Asia Zero Emission Committee and others. There are some other initiatives that Japan has set up as Japan. And we're hoping that FinCity.Tokyo can contribute in some ways in this kind of framework. And as mentioned during the previous session, in Europe, there's been some movement, not just brown or green, not just a two approach. There is more transitionary phased-in type of approach. There is a shift to such transitionary shift. For instance, last December, the City of London, under the UK government, launched the Transition Finance Council. And in fact, in July this year, we co-hosted a Transition Finance Forum in London. We had the FinCity.Tokyo and the city of London co-hosted this, and these pictures show that event. From them, there were a great interest to the initiatives in Japan. And as I hear out more, it seems that UK is looking into G20 strategy initiatives. So in the climate actions, now US is already decided to become the chair country of G20 next year, but we cannot expect much progress with the chairship of US. Now UK is now becoming the candidate for the next presidency. So when 2027 UK will take the leadership, they would like to be more prepared. So they would like to collaborate more with Japan, it seems. That's what I thought. So how we can collaborate with Europe is one another agenda that we should work on. So just like that, over sustainable finance, there are various different movements. And as the Tokyo Financial Center, what kind of direction should we aim for? This page, bullet points, and the yellow highlighted parts are the key points, the three directions. One is including the regional banks in Japan, enhance the collaboration with the regional financial institutions, because regional financial institutions know the most about their regional businesses and companies. On the other hand, FinCity.Tokyo, to those regional projects and companies, we are very much interested in grasping the needs of those companies. So through the matching of the two needs, through the investment chain, the growth needed funding can be provided to those regions. Now, FSAs considering of regional financial enhancement plan, and FinCity.Tokyo would like to provide a material contribution. The second bullet point and the direction, that's to become the pioneer of sustainable finance. And with that, we'd like to accumulate and share the know-how further. So there are several different components here. First, as mentioned here, one of the transitional finance is transition bond. So as regards to this, as shown here, so the cumulative issuance of transition bond has exceeded 1.3 trillion yen, and we now have accumulated the know-how that we can share to the world. And once again, going back to the slide, the second bullet point, number 2. Tokyo is also facing the climate actions. So Tokyo is trying to take actions too. So in the financial areas, the issuance of SDG bond and GX-oriented private public sector collaborative financing, and also the Tokyo Resilience Bond, which is limiting the usage of the proceeds to the enhancement of the strength of the city. So this is the specific contents here. So just like this, various entities and the technology are gathered here to overcome the global challenges. And we believe the city shall take a great part in that. And I think that's very important. And Tokyo Metropolitan Government is taking a lead in issuing this Tokyo Resilience Bond. This is capturing a great attention from the world, I believe. And Tokyo doing this would mean that Tokyo Financial Center reputation would be enhanced as well. So I truly appreciate this movement. Now, there's one another idea. In number 3 of the second bullet point, FinCity.Tokyo, in the context of transition finance, we'd like to promote Asia Pacific's interoperable voluntary carbon credit market. And I'd like to show you this image on the slide. So for instance, On the left top, you see Indonesia. It's the thermal power plant fuel to be switched from coal to LNG, and with that, you can reduce the carbon emission, and that would become carbon credit. And then, as shown on the right, Tokyo and some other exchange markets would sell those carbon credits to those companies or markets that needs this. So this is one of the mechanisms of transition finance, and using this, we can facilitate the decarbonization in the Asia region. That's the essence of this concept. And Tokyo can play a central role. We hope to play that central role. And in fact, this concept has been progressing in APEC. And at APEC, which is APEC Business Advisory Council, as shown here is the gist. It's working on this APEC Pathfinder initiative, and with that, at the working level in Asia, for instance, to keep the carbon credit quality, to set a certain standard, common standard, or to establish an ecosystem, or connect the registry information, or set up such infrastructure. So very specific working level initiatives and considerations are already underway. Tokyo shall make sure to be in this place so that as not to get falling behind. And the bullet point, third bullet point, that's the AI and some other advanced technology introduction and the implementation. In Japan, where the working population is declining, it's often talked about in the context of improving the productivity. But in the sustainable finance area, for instance, specifically ESG information collection and analysis of the non-financial data, and also for the detection of greenwashing. For such purposes, AI can also be utilized. Furthermore, for the institutional investors, it can be used for risk management, and for the policy authority, it can be used for the monitoring activities. In various different dimensions of sustainable finance, in practical ways, advanced technology can be implemented, and that is going to be essential for securing the international competitiveness of Tokyo as the finance center. In the session hereafter, there will be another panel discussion moderated by Mr. Hirayama, the representative of LSEG Japan, about Japan's AI and sustainability, and I'm very much looking forward to listening to this. And finally, this is my final slide. So, about the sustainable finance that I mentioned today, the drive would be the Tokyo FinCity.Tokyo, and here is there are 4 axes here. One is the domestic financial function, Asia net zero, and asset management. So, to those 4 axes, with the vision and strategy, we'd like to steadily execute so that Tokyo Financial Center would once again shine. I am very much confident that it would be true. More than we believe, in fact, Japan's strength is in the soft power, and I believe that soft power would push up further. Together with you all, we'd like to turn this uncertainty into an opportunity, and I'd like to once again declare my hope and ambition to realize such growth. And that concludes my speech. Thank you very much.